Welcome everybody to episode 64 of Overdriven, the ODRL podcast. A little different this week. Sorry for the delay of last week. We didn't have a show last week, but we're back on our normally time scheduled day. Not joined by Camo tonight or Bren so far, but we do have Hendrik. What up, Hendrik?
What's going on?
And then we are joined by also with the other co-owner of Overdriven, along with myself, is Iron Man. What up, Iron Man?
Good evening, gentlemen. Happy to be back.
Sorry, yes, sir. And then, as always, and Sawball's back there doing the ones and twos for producing skills. But tonight we'll talk a little Chicago Street, a little Sonoma action, a little road course week for ODRL this week. No trucks this week. It's only Premier and NXT, which they're both really good in my opinion for being road courses. Not a lot of cautions, not a lot of issues. But we'll start with Chicago. We'll be joined by the race winner, Chicago, first time winner of the season. Not the ODRL career, but the season first time winner. Of Yoshi Racing, aka Parker. But I'll start with Hendrik. Actually no, I'll start with Nick. Nick, going into a Chicago street course, there's a lot of talk about wrecks. There's a lot of talk about not getting past turn one. Not a lot of this. Going into it, what would you say how many cautions you would think we would have had going into a Monday night Premier race at Chicago?
You and me had talked about this over the weekend, and I think we both expected probably 3 to 4, just knowing first time being on a street course like this, first time racing Chicago street course in general as a league. I think 3 to 4 would have been a good expectation.
Yeah. I went into the race with thinking 3 to 4 would be good. 5, 6, I would be totally okay with, just because we will never go back there. It's a novelty track. It's in the game. We're like, all right, if it's in the game, it won't be in next year's game probably. So let's go to it one time. Have the best possible outcomes possible. There's a lot of talk before the race about we're not gonna get through it. It's not gonna be fun. Blah blah blah. Which I understand. It's not a lot of passing for a street course. Very F1 style for all the later type stuff. But I was very happy with the outcome. Only one caution. and one incident pretty much in turn two that caused the pile up. That was the only caution we really had. We had one incident beginning of the race that was turn two, but only two cars had an issue with it, so it wasn't a extreme caution called. But from what I experienced, it was I parked it outside the track and watched it from my vantage point, and it was fun for the most part. A lot of tire wear and follow the leader, but pretty much that 48 car dominated the whole field. I don't think he led. I think he led every lap, but maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6, and I won't go past that because you obviously know the joke past 6. But it was great for what it was. I know it was a street course. We won't go back there as a novelty, and I'm happy with the result we had. Premier guys was the only series I trusted at the track, and they always prove me right when it comes to doing the best they can. Showed up, did the best they could, and they gave a great performance wise as a series in general. Even though with the negativity going into the track and not wanting to do the track, they showed up, did the best they could. Yoshi, Parker, what do you want to be called? I'll call you Parker. Parker, welcome to the chat.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, you've been a member of ODRL for probably about a calendar year, probably so a little more. Back in the Heat 5 days, first season back in Heat 5 last season. Going into this new game and HVM, what was your expectations going into the season?
Well, considering my success last season, I thought it would be okay. My expectation for not like go out and win every week like my teammate Sterlo did at the beginning of this season. But yeah, I mean, like I just wanted to learn and have fun with the new game. It's the first new game in 5-6 years, whatever it was, and I just wanted to learn them and just kind of have fun with it. It's been an up and down season for me, and High Voltage Motorsports as a group was really good. It has been really good this season, and I'm excited to be a part of this team.
Very true, very true. Now, when you look at the schedule back before back in the preseason, and you saw Chicago Street, you obviously were one of the guys who stood out and said, "Oh, this is not going to be great. This is not going to be a fun experience." Did you ever, in your possibility that you thought you were going to win a Chicago Street race?
No, there's no chance. I mean, like there was no chance, right? I mean, I'm in the best league I've ever been in, and I'm going against some guys who are really good at road courses. Never would I have thought I would be that good this past week. But yeah, I just had a lot of not great expectations for this race, considering the tight conditions, really, really hard to pass. And in my case, I thought it would be slow because I'm on controller and wheel has such a huge advantage on this game compared to controller players. I'm trying my best to stay with the wheel guys, but it's just really hard. But a lot of practice, a lot of track time this past week, and some great help from my new teammate Fally, who joined this past week. He helped me a lot with the track, and yeah, never would I have thought I'd be winning a Chicago Street race. That never thought that would happen.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was a shock to me, just because anything can happen any given Monday. But it was a pleasant surprise to know, okay, Yoshi shows the practice, shows the will to win, shows the want to win. He can be negative to himself and his team chat every week. I watch his stream every week just for his verbal abuse to himself or his verbal abuse to other people privately. Nothing terrible. It's just fun little radioactive banter. But going into a Chicago Street where you obviously had speed, but could you finish it off? And going with 10 laps to go, I was like, okay, he has a sight sets in front of me. I didn't know if the 8 pitted or not. I didn't know his strategy call. But once I saw him pit, and you had the issue with the 8 pitting and not hearing the call of pitting, and then him spinning him out on accident, entering pit road, and then getting around that with no issues, and then coasting off for the victory. It was very nice to see, and the emotion you showed when you won the race was very enjoyable to hear, because as a league owner, you always want to hear that you hear a driver express their want to win and know it was earned, and how much a win in ODRL means. So I appreciate you for that. Yeah, but you did a phenomenal job in that race. Strategy was A plus. I think the new addition of Valley will really help HVM, even with their previous weeks of practicing together, and obviously showing as the best team so far. In all phases, even with the exit of Cowboys as a full team member, but now he goes on an affiliate. What do you see yourself going in the future? What do you see? You seeing any tracks that Valley could help you with in the next regular season races, or do you shift your focus to playoffs? What's your full focus on now that you got that victory?
Yeah, my full focus right now is getting through the bracket challenge because I'm still part of the bracket challenge. I'm going against Bren at Dover, and we did a lot of practice today as a team. And Dover is such a wheel dominant track too, and it's been difficult keeping up with all my teammates because they're all on wheels, but I'm managing pretty well. So yeah, my main focus right now is getting through the bracket. But after the bracket, obviously we got the playoffs, and I feel pretty good about the tracks in the playoffs. We got a lot of bigger tracks. I feel much more confident with those compared to the shorter tracks. Yeah, I mean, my expectation for these playoffs is just to get past the first round. Obviously the round of 8. I don't know if we'll make the championship round. It would take a lot for that to happen, but you never know. I mean, I think there's a plate race or two in the playoffs, and I felt like I've been really good at them. Talladega, I probably should have been up there at the end, but I made a silly mistake off pit road. And Daytona, I feel pretty good about, and Atlanta was really good for us. So I feel pretty confident in terms of the bigger tracks in the playoffs, but you never know. These is a very difficult series, and like you said, any guy can win on Mondays. So
Very, very true.
I'm looking forward to the challenge and what we can do.
Yes, very true. I think there was a viewer question that was podcast question that was started today with me. Make sure I have that. Before that though, I do want to have a little joke here. Now, how's your feelings towards a certain Stein 9 driver? Do you feel like you're better than him?
Most tracks, unfortunately, no, I am not. He has been lights out all season, but I'm trying my best to be better than him. I do have more wins than him currently in the series, so I do have that over him. I did. But he's been great this season, and he's gonna be a title contender at the end of this season. But I'm still gonna be right there. I'm still gonna nag on it at him, and I'm still gonna be a nuisance. But it's been great racing with him. He's a great friend of mine, and we just love to banter with each other every week.
Yeah, I agree. It's fun to hear it and see it and know it's all in good fun. And those little rivalries egg on through the season, and well, why don't you do this? We hear it every week in the podcast with Stein getting on the co-host and wife top fives and stuff like that. So it's always fun to banter about that. But the question, no, they didn't answer. They didn't say who it was, but how has your experience with HVM been so far? I know you've been there for a season and probably a season and a half.
Yeah, I have been really happy at High Voltage Motorsports. Impact is a fantastic leader. He's a fantastic team owner. Sterlo, he's been great too. He's the one that brought up the idea of doing the team parties for us this season. and they've been really, really helpful. It really has helped us communicate better and not having to deal with all of the noise in the background of the main voice chat for the races. It's easier this way to be able to listen to each other and communicate strategies and everything with that. It's been really great to be at High Voltage Motorsports. Every series of drivers has been really great. We have a really great group, and I really hope to be at this organization long term. And just really happy to be at this place. I didn't really expect to be. It's kind of funny how I got here because I was signed by Sterlo to drive for his Grim Reaper team or whatever it was, and I don't even know how I got the opportunity to drive for the main team. I think it was in Pat having a scheduling conflict or something, but it's been. I'm really happy that happened because I love this team. This has been a great team, and just really happy to be here.
Yeah, it's great to see. It's great to see a little bit of loyalty too, because it's like, okay, you're not going anywhere. You're sticking to the team. You trust the team, and I appreciate HBM for doing the party thing, because then it keeps the voice channel away from Bren for the most part. And I think it's really good from Premier Series in general. I think it's people can breathe a little easy. We don't have to hear Brent every 5 seconds talk about his car and what he's had for lunch, and so it's
Yeah.
it's been very enjoyable. So you dealing with it, and you and Sterlo having to tell him to shut up in a party is great. I don't have to tell him to shut up, so it's very nice. So I appreciate HVM for that, and I'll give it to anybody else if they have any questions before I finish it off. Nick, you got any question? I know you have a question. You always go with questions.
I might have a couple. Actually, I've got two. First one being obviously first one of the season. You were able to get a win last year too. With us being on the new game, do you feel this most recent win last week at Chicago, do you feel that one was more memorable for you here in ODRL, or do you think your first win last season on Heat 5 is more memorable?
That's a great question. Obviously, the first win is great. I mean, like, that was really, really, I think, unexpected win for most. That was only my second start in the league. I never thought I would win in my second start, but I think overall, I do think the Chicago win was more memorable because I never really outright dominated a premier race, right? I never dominated the first win. I led like maybe the last 3 or 4 laps, and that's how I won. But no, this win meant more to me because I put in so much time and so much effort into this one race to be fast and to be consistent and not make any mistakes. So I feel like this Chicago win means more because of those reasons, and also because of how dominant it was. Because I never really dominate races, so I think for those reasons I would say that Chicago was a lot more a lot more feeling better, I guess, and than Atlanta was.
I definitely agree with that. I feel like, especially as someone who, so with me not running Premiere, I've been watching everyone's streams, just trying to bounce back and forth. I watched yours for a little bit during the race. I watched Camo's for a little bit, so I was bouncing back and forth between a lot of people's. And the one thing that was very constant and consistent was watching you run the track every lap, and it just seems like there was zero mistakes at all, and just continuing to watch your lap times was beyond impressive. I do think that this was kind of like a staple win for you here in ODRL because of, like you said, the way you came out and the way you dominated it.
I agree. What track? Here's one question for you. What track have you circled on the rest of the schedule that you for sure that you think you can 100% win? I know it's very tough in Premiere to say, "Oh, I'm going to win that track," but call your shot right now. Which one track? We won't remember it. Don't worry. We won't like call you out if you don't win or not. But what's the one track you say, "Okay, I'm winning that. Nobody's going to stop me."
That's tough. I mean, obviously I'm on controller, and
Yeah.
that's a big disadvantage to these oval tracks. Besides the super speedways, but I'm not going to say a super speedway races that anybody can win those. But I would say Michigan. I think Michigan will be
Okay.
a good one for me, because that's one of my home tracks, and I love Michigan, and I'm definitely going to be working really hard towards Michigan because I want to win Michigan. That's a great track for me. It's a track near me. I've been there many times, and I hold it fondly in my heart. So I think I would say Michigan. I think Michigan is I guess, the next best opportunity besides the super speedway for me.
Very nice. I will enjoy you seeing you watch do that. Obviously, understand the discourse between wheel and controller, but I do believe you're the best on controller that I've seen. Um, so it's very fun to watch you. Might not be the fastest with you might not be the fastest because the wheel advantage, but you show up, you do your best, and you don't complain about it. You get the best results you can. Team practices obviously show that you have that energy and that will to win. So it's great to see. You've been a great addition to ODRL, and I'm proud that you're here. Especially with your past from racing with you in other leagues, and then finally you joined Premier, and you've been great ever since. Even with the Stein jokes and trying to dog you, and I still think you're better than Stein. I don't care what anybody says. And so I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you being part of Premier. And I can't wait to see you on your championship run and what the future brings. And appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you, Mets. I appreciate the kind words, and thank you for having me here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, we will move on to a little NXT action here. We were Sonoma, a little wine country here. We both had Hendrick and Nick, Ironman in the race. So we'll talk a little about that. We had a little run in with the 60 car, and I forget what number it was.
21.
21. Yeah,
21, yeah.
We'll talk a little bit about that. But Nick, from your experience on the race in general, because I know you didn't have the best race for yourself in general, but was the race in general, what did you expect going into Sonoma, and how did it work out for you and the team and the race itself?
I feel like the race in general was pretty good for a road course, especially with it being NXT, and we know the struggles that they've had, or that we've had throughout the season. So I definitely feel like it was a good race. I think more so from an overall lobby perspective, I feel like there were lots of opportunities to pass, but it also left a lot of people vulnerable. And what I mean by that is it is very easy, especially around the hairpin, both hairpins, the skinny hairpins after the short shoot, and then the big hairpin as the last corner. It's very easy to spin your tires as you're trying to put the throttle down and get back up to speed because you're down in first gear. And I think we saw a lot of examples of that. And I think we saw a lot of people, especially after the short shoot, lose control of the car, which led to a couple stack ups. But overall, I feel like the race was good. My race, unfortunately, was not. I felt like every time I made decent ground, I got spun out or put too much power down and spun myself out. So, not a great race for me or the 88 team, but it was a very good overall series race, which is obviously the overall goal.
Let's not forget that. Let's not forget that that certain person who spun you out, and let's not forget
Listen,
about him.
we don't talk about talentless hacks. It's fine. Just kidding, Shelby. I love you.
Oh, Hendrick, this is your only race of the week. How was your Sonoma experience? How did you feel about coming out of that alive?
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't do so hot either. I mean, I felt like there was maybe a decent chunk of the restarts that was okay, but besides from that, it was just ill handling throughout the entire race. Kind of wish that I did a little bit better, but first road course with the cup cars, I believe. I could be wrong on that, but yeah,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
it just needed a lot of work on that.
Yeah, it was enjoyable for my opinion. I pulled over off to the side. I was 40 laps down, whatever it was. And from my vantage point, it was really fun to watch the comers and goers and keeping mistakes, keeping the car straight and give and take. And only two cautions, which is very good. I know it's very hard to have a caution at a Sonoma because of the no wall, very little walls and very little, very open grass areas and stuff like that. So I was very, very surprised, very happy that everybody came off pretty in high spirits about it. I know it's a road course. It's not for everybody, and we don't have many of them, but they showed up. They did the best they could, and it was very interesting. We did have a little drama this week with a full-time NXT driver and then a full-time truck driver. Uh, from your vantage point, Hendrik, what did you feel like that what happened there?
Well, it just sounded like someone was being impatient and they didn't want to wait behind somebody for when they made a mistake, because road courses, you're going to have a lot of mistakes. And he just dumped them. I mean, it was pretty blatant from what I heard in the Discord chat. Like, I get it. It's one thing when you race your teammates dirty, and that's fine. But, if it's because he's holding you up, I mean, you'll be able to get by him within a lap. I mean, there's way too many opportunities to get by someone. That's just not the way to do it, and he did not handle that right.
Very true. Very true. I agree. Nick, what was your vantage point on it, and then the aftermath?
For me, I feel like Hendrick summed it up pretty well. It was someone who was very, very impatient. He felt like he had the best car, and I mean, we're not gonna shy from it. He definitely was the fastest car on track. I don't think that anyone's gonna argue that. But when you're someone who has that speed, you also need to learn patience, because multiple people reported the same said driver later in the race for pushing people out of the way and moving them so that he could try to make his way back to the front. And, here in ODRL, like, we want guys that can race and we want guys that are fast, but that's not all that matters. You need to be able to make clean passes and show patience, and that's how you get yourself in a premiere. And the way, he was driving was not what we want to see. So, he even straight out said too that he did it on purpose and was taking any repercussions that came with it, and it resulted in a one-race suspension.
Very true. Very true. It's stuff that can happen. It's especially in NXT where they've had a history of issues, and you can't really be out there blatantly doing stuff that can harm the series or yourself, and especially if you're looking to get yourself noticed for a premiere call up or even a hot ride or sub ride. So it's got to be handled and dealt. We dealt with it. We move on. No issues there, and it happens. Happens to the best of us. Just learn from your mistakes and move on. Premeditated stuff just can't fly. And you have the speed, go around them, and beat them on the leaderboard. Don't turn them. In my honest
I
opinion.
think the I think the craziest part is too, his name was being talked about a lot as a driver that team owners had their eyes on to call up. And right after that incident, right after that race, all of them walked back their comments. So it just shows you team owners are watching these NXT drivers. They're seeing who can race and who can run cleanly. And if you're not, it's gonna leave a bad impression.
Very true, very true. We even saw it last year with Tata. So it's like, it happens. It's not over for you. It's just, you got to start from the beginning and earn that trust back. And, 1 week at a time. But we'll move on to some podcast questions here. But, shout out NXT for another good showing, another good race before we enter Dover next week. We'll talk a little bit of that after the podcast questions. But let's get to some of these questions. I'll do some quick ones. Let's see. Across all of ODRL, which drivers have caught the best breaks this season? Which drivers have gotten the short end of the stick? Does anybody stand out to y'all?
Someone that stands out to me for short end of the stick, I feel like there's two specifically, and I'll talk to NXT Mets if you want to talk to Premier, and then
Okay,
Hendrick,
yeah.
you can talk any series. But for me, like the one that stands out to me the most is Irish for NXT. I feel like
Mhm.
Irish is someone who very consistently runs up front. He's, a former Premier driver who I've had multiple battles with to end races, to going for wins. And if it's him not putting the right amount of fuel in, or the game screwing him and not giving him the fuel that it says it's going to give him, or speeding, I feel like Irish has run into a lot of those situations, and I feel like Impact has as well. Impact, again, someone who consistently runs up front, but something always seems to impact or get in the way of him getting a good finish.
Agreed. For Premier, I would say Camo has probably been the one to get the short end of the stick mostly. He's always a top 10 speed, and then he ends up outside the top 20. And then let's see, I'm thinking about it. Spartan has some issues with some people with some stuff every now and then, but he usually makes up for it. But it's really cost him some opportunities at some wins, some pitting issues or something like that. Nobody really stands out besides that. I think Sterlo has had a little issue after his wins in a row. He hasn't really been that Sterlo that we know. I think the rest of the Premier has stepped up to get to Sterlo's level, and it's kind of bring Sterlo back to the pack a little bit. So I really can't say that he's been an issue, but from the people who have gotten the best end of it, I know Tyreek and NXT have had some probably non wins turn into some wins by some bad luck for other people. He deserves some wins. I'm not saying he don't deserve wins, but he has a couple of wins to give to him.
We know what you're talking about.
You know what I mean? So he's gotten some breaks there. Premiere wise, anybody's gotten any breaks there? I can't really think about any breaks. um, yeah. Insolubles got some bad luck with Savage. But has anybody taken advantage of anybody's mistakes in Premiere? I really can't think. It's been mostly the winner expected winners. It's not really like a shocking. Yoshi dominated it, so he was a shocking winner. But he was dominating the whole race, so it's not like he was a shock. I'm trying to think of anything in Premiere, but nothing stands out to me. Hendrik, do you have anything that stands out in either Premiere, NXT, or Truck?
I think in terms of Premier, I mean, Camo was a good pick for being on the short end of the stick. I would also say Cowboys has gotten the short end of the stick.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
It's an abnormal season for him. Obviously, the news that was just announced with him being an affiliate driver for the rest of the season for HVM. He's taken a step back. This was not the season that I don't think anyone had imagined for him. And then for those who have actually gotten the better end of the stick, honestly, I mean the closest thing I could think of was the Iowa race with Bren hitting the wall and Sterlo getting by, but I can't really say that's Sterlo getting the short end because he's got 3 wins. I guess if I really had to pick somebody, I would have to go with either K-Therms or Bren. But that's just me. I don't fully know, but yeah, just no one's super big sticking out for someone getting the right side of things.
Yeah. Well, I'll move on to our next question here. Some people want me to know the rumor mill, and do I have any expectations on people signing elsewhere? I can't really talk about rumor mill in general because it's not in tampering period yet. But if I had any expectations, I would say any shockers. I probably would say K-Therm's probably on the move, if I had a guess. Can't tell you. I don't know which way, where. I've heard some rumors about people interested in Savage. Let's see. Anybody else NXT wise? A lot of some call ups, Pumps call up to NXT. I know there's some rumors about Pumps getting Premier opportunities, which I don't know about per se as a league owner. I don't know if he's quite ready for Premier. But I know he'll get some he'll get an NXT offer.
Throw a name out there.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So for Premier, I think the one name most likely to move is gonna be, and I don't want him to take this the wrong way, but I think it's gonna be Bren. Now that Camo has very quickly come out of his break that I think, or not Camo, Cowboys has come out of his break that I think Impact and HVM thought was going to be a lot longer. I think that now puts them in a very interesting situation where Bren, granted they just signed Valley Race and he's only ran one race, but from what everyone has said, he's very quick and everyone expects him to win a race relatively soon. And if that's the case, Bren would be the only one who has not won this year, and it's going to be very hard to justify keeping Bren in a team seat next year when you've got someone like Cowboys who very easily could get signed in the offseason, leaving that HVM camp.
Very true, Bren. And he's not here to talk about himself, and and probably why, because he probably cried himself to sleep, and maybe he knows this happening behind the scenes, and he sees the writing on the wall, and he can't take it because he is a dummy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dummy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dummy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Only jokes here, but we'll see what happens with Bren. He'll be a hot commodity in the free agent streets. If my honest opinion, because I think the wheel has helped him get his top 10 rides, and he hasn't got the win yet to show for it. But I think he'll be on somebody's team, and as long as he keeps the energy and the want to win, he'll be just fine. But do the last question here, since we have his team owner here as well. Does Stein hold off Sterlo from the regular season title, or do we see Cobra having a say in it? Nick, I'll start with you.
That is. Oh, you're really gonna put me on the spot for that one. I think it's gonna be a very tight race. I'm not gonna say he can't hold him off. I'm not gonna say he will. I'm also not gonna say he won't. When you're only 1 point apart, that can very easily shift in multiple directions. And one bad race could really cost Stein the points lead. So I think it's going to be an interesting race to the finish. I feel like these two have consistently been up front week in and week out. And I think, we're going to be in for a really intense last 2 or 3 races of the regular season.
Agree, especially when you have Dover, Martinsville, and Daytona coming up. So it's going to be very interesting. Kendrick, you got any say on that? Do you think anybody stands out in that regular season battle for that number 1 points standings position?
Let me see here. So 4 races left. Short tracks being a factor. If I really had to make an inference here right now, I do think it's going to be. I'm gonna say it's gonna still be a 2-horse race, but it really depends on who's better at the short tracks, in my opinion. With these next 2 weeks, it could really set someone apart. I haven't seen Sterlo race much at short track, so I can't really say much there yet. And same thing really with Stein, but based on what I've seen from another league, he's done really well. So I guess for now, I think Stein would have the better odds than Sterlo. In terms if there's anyone else that can catch him, I don't think it's going to be possible. Well, I think it is possible, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, the likelihood is not there to do it unless it's a big drop off between the top 2 somehow, some way. But we don't see that happen, especially if we have subs ability and everything like that, and helps start in parks and stuff like that. So it's gonna be very interesting. But we'll move on. Thank you for the questions this week. We'll answer some more next week as well. So don't keep them coming. We love them. Love to answer them, and love to see them. But we'll move on to the Dover preview this week. We only got NXT and Premier to preview. Same track, same car. So not much of a difference between a preview here, unless we got some drivers to talk about. But going into Dover, what's your expectations, Nick?
So I actually ran some practice last night with a couple of my ILM drivers, and I'm expecting fuel saving, and I'm expecting a lot of different strategies. I think you're going to have people who are going to come out hot and heavy, and they're going to learn to regret that really quickly, because these tires die off so fast, and I just don't think people are going to expect how much they're going to die off. And the stages are long here. The stages are very long for ×3 wear, and I feel like you're going to see some people just right off rip say, hey, I'm going to save 3 to 4 laps.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. We did a mock preseason race here, one of the preseason testing events, and it was one of the longer ones. It was a 25% race, and we could definitely tell. I think that was even pre setups that we could do pit adjustments in, and even then it was the tire saving, and Sturlo was up top there, Stein was up there, Spartan was up there. So it's got a lot of interesting people that could really rise to the top here. Setups wise, back to the norm and see what we do there. But tire consumption, as you said, gonna be key. Fuel, save the fuel. You don't gotta win the race in turn one, but you sure can lose it if you keep going. If you try to show off in those first couple turns, you can really ruin your race in the long run if you don't protect those tires and save yourself for the long run, because that's what's key. Hendrick, you're projected to be in the NXT race Sunday. There's nothing stopping you there. What is your full expectations for Dover going into Sunday's NXT race? And do you see anybody standing out in the NXT side of things?
I'm gonna be very interested to see if there's gonna be any long run, like parts of the race. Not only because of the fuel strategy, but also with the tires. I haven't really gotten to remember much about how bad the runoff is at that track and how much that could affect the handling of the car. But besides from that, with Dover, I can really see this still being a one-lane track. So I do think there's going to be a lot of people just trying to scramble to the bottom if they are able to. But Dover is a track that really relies a lot on consistency to go with it. So I'm going to be watching for that. And exiting turn 2 as well is going to be a very tricky part for some, especially if you have a tight setup or if your car is just extremely tight. I wouldn't be shocked if that's going to be where a lot of the accidents occur.
Sure, very true. All right, let's get to these picks. Let's start with NXT, since y'all will be in the NXT crowd here. I'll start with Hendrick. Hendrick, who do you got winning NXT, and who's your dark horse?
Okay. So my primary pick on that one, I will go on ahead and select. I'm gonna say Tata.
Okay.
Tata is my primary pick. He hasn't won yet this season, but he has proven to be capable of at least having a win already this season. I do think that he will be able to break through and get a win this Sunday. And then my dark horse pick, looking around at those towards that cut line, I'm going to go on ahead and pick T-Stone. He's
Okay.
tied for 16th. He needs a big run. He's got a lot of people ahead of him that he can easily pass on Sunday. I do think this could definitely help him out after the end of the race. I could definitely see him doing well and maybe getting a couple spots and points.
For sure. I like that pick. How about you, Nick? You got anybody that you want to pick for NXT Dover?
My primary is going to be Impact.
Okay.
Impact is someone who always seems to bring a long run car, and I feel like for Dover, that is something that is going to come in handy, especially if we're able to stay green during this NXT race. So I'm going to go with Impact. And then as far as a dark horse, I'm going to go with Hendrick. I'm going to go with
Okay.
the man in the booth with us, Hendrick. And he's someone who, on the concrete tracks that we ran earlier this year, I felt had really good speed. As long as he's able to bring a long run car, I think that he'll be in contention for the win.
Okay. Very nice. I'm gonna go. Who am I gonna go? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Lost as my main. I think he finally gets that monkey off his back this season and finally gets that win. And with the ILM camp behind him at Dover with the practice and the setups working, I think he'll benefit from that. Then my dark horse is going to be. I'm gonna say. Oh, it's a tough one. I'm gonna say Tango is my dark horse. I picked him a couple weeks ago, and I think he's just on the verge of getting it all put together. And I think Dover's the type of track he can be good at. And Solable, you can include your audio now. And do you have a producer's pick for yourself that for NXT? You don't gotta do dark horse, but do you have a number one pick for yourself? Yeah. There's a clear number one in my opinion. Who's in here? Just gonna say that out loud. Okay. 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 Fair point. That's a very good point. It was a retire, save, and fuel. Okay. All right. Fair point. Fair point. All right. We'll move on to our premier picks, and I will start with Iron Man for this premier pick um, for Dover.
You guys are gonna call me a homer here, but I'm picking Stein.
Okay.
I'm picking Stein to win. I practiced with him last night. He has a lot of speed and really has this track figured out. I think that personally it'll be him or Sterlo, but I'm gonna back my guy Stein and get his second win of the season. Uh, and then a dark horse. I gotta think about this. Dark horse, dark horse. You know what? I'm gonna throw a really deep dark horse out there. I'm
Okay.
Bren as my dark horse.
Okay. That's okay. Finally get that monkey off his back, especially going into a known that he's like, oh, Cowboys is back. They're gonna replace me with Cowboys. Um, he better be on awareness. He better be on call to get that monkey off his back. But I agree with that. It's a good one. Hendrik, how about you? Who is your picks for premiere?
Well, I'm gonna start with my primary pick. I'm actually going to go with Sean for Life as my primary.
Okay.
He's gonna have the appendix race. Just for those unaware, he had his appendix
Yeah.
removed. He's currently recovering from that, but I fully expect him being there on Monday, and I wouldn't be shocked if he wins, gets another dub. And then for my dark horse pick, I'm actually looking at one of the drivers that's still alive in the bracket challenge. I will go on ahead and select. I could definitely see K-Therms advancing to the finals. So I will go with the 16 as my dark horse. He is the second highest driver in points without a win. He is not that far off from being in the top 5 in points. I think this would be a good race for him to be able to continue that momentum into the last few races of the regular season.
True. I like that. So I got the final four on the bracket is Ren and versus Yoshi Racing, and then you have K Thurns versus Romeo. So it should be two good matchups to get that final spot and go at each other next week. So it's gonna be very, very interesting. I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna use him as a dark horse because I think his prestige is way ahead of him. But I'm gonna go Valley for my main pick. An up and newcomer, rookie, but a rookie into Odero, but a well-known name around the NASCAR 25 online community. Then my dark horse is going to be the guy who's facing K Therms, a little homer pick here in Romeo. And I think he's finally coming into his own. I think he won in the All-Star Elite race last night. I think he's finally getting the racecraft to form. I think he's very good at saving his tires and fuel mileage. And I think he's really going to come up on top of that. And Salbo, who do you have at the pick for Premier, for your producer pick?
Man, I'm gonna go with Spartan. He was very fast here during the first few races we did. I mean, him and Cobra, but I can't pick Cobra as a dark horse, so I'm just gonna have to go with Spartan here.
Very true, very true. But all those are great picks. Shout out everybody. Thank you for listening. We're back every Thursday. Sorry for the little holiday difference in podcast times, everything. We're back here every Thursday, talking on the next week's race. Excited for it. Excited to see it. Trucks are off this week, so we got Dover back to back for Sunday and Monday. Should be very fun watch. Catch those streams on Twitch, and so I think some have YouTube, but I'm not sure. But catch them; those should be fun from on the driver's perspective. Can't wait till we have broadcasting back, so we can have those on a broadcasting side of things for Hendrick and Camo in the future. But until then, we'll do what we can and get some onboards and produce the thing going, and it should be very fun. Go ahead.
Real quick, only because I just saw this in the chat. We're a little
Okay.
behind, but I did see someone put a question in there that I feel
Okay,
like
go
is worth us going through.
Okay.
Daniel Seiler, sorry if I butcher your last name, wants to know who are the most improved drivers from start of the season to now.
Oh, most improved. You gotta say K Therms for Premier, him and Romeo. It's tough. It's tough when everybody in Premier is already there. NXT. You say Tata, NXT. Let's see.
For NXT, I think it's Tyreek because we
Tyreek,
knew Tyreek.
obviously, yeah,
we
yeah.
knew Tyreek had speed. We did not think it was going to be the way that it is, where he would have 4 wins with still 3 races left in the regular season.
Yeah, agreed. You got, and the trucks is probably Pumps and Lefty. Because I know Pure Splash has the experience and he has his wins in trucks, but when he joined, we pretty much knew, okay, he's on the cut line of going to NXT or trucks, and with a new game, you don't cut somebody until they show it. But Lefty's a rookie. Pumps is obviously, getting the calls from NXT, not yet, but getting the opportunities to get to NXT and seeing what he becomes next season when he has the opportunity and hot lap rides in the sub role when he's available, when he's approved. Yeah, so I think, yeah. Do you have anybody stands out to you, Hendrick?
From the start of the season, like, it depends, like, what series.
Either or. You have anybody that stands out from anybody who you thought, okay, they really have no chance here at the start of the season, and they really surprised me by 10 weeks into the season.
Well, someone that I know that had a very good jump in NXT, I would have to go with Banjo.
Okay. Yeah.
Obviously some things happened, earlier in the season. He wasn't getting the runs that he was used to having. Obviously, and then some of his affiliates got disbanded, and it was really left in a realm of uncertainty for him. But last week he did grab his first win of the season. He
Yep.
is currently 6th in the standings. He's doing very well. I think we're finally starting to see the old Banjo from the Heat 5 era. So, but yeah, definite step up for him from the start of the season.
Yeah, especially now that the breaking news today with him joining the ILM banner as an affiliate, so it's going to be very big for him to get his feet wet there with the help from ILM. And we know when they're behind you, anything can happen with ILM, and propel you to the front, especially as a solo car, and can actually use that to benefit himself and maybe a future ride sooner or later, and we'll see what happens there. But with that, I appreciate Iron Man for joining me. Always appreciate Hendrick for joining me. Appreciate Insolable for producing it. I know he has to do a little practice for Daytona 24 race for his iRacing career, but appreciate him stopping by for 40 or so minutes and helping us with this, as always. And we're back next week. We'll talk a little Dover, preview next week's race, and see if anybody had issues and talk about that. But appreciate everybody listening. Catch us on Twitches. Catch us on the podcast. Hit subscribe. Hit the notification so you don't miss us talking. We'd love to mention you and talk about the future of ODRL. And a couple more weeks, we start talking about tampering period and little rumor mills going on. We can finally say some rumors and destinations where we're hearing and stuff like that. So it's gonna be a very interesting couple weeks. Daytona regular season finales just a couple weeks away, so it's gonna be very interesting to see how all these seasons wrap up, the regular seasons wrap up, and see where we stand before we finally enter a playoffs that we didn't get to have last season, and test this new playoff system we had last season, but didn't get to really see how it played out. So it's gonna be very interesting. Shout out everybody for listening. Shout out everybody for tuning in, and shout out to the co-host and the producer. And we will talk to y'all next week. All right, we out.